Okay. Hey guys, we are back today. When I say back, because we had to do a reaction video before on this individual. So now we back with another reaction video because Vlad from VladTV decided to go on a platform where he was being interviewed and mention my husband and myself. And then when he mentioned my husband and myself, he disrespected us because he actually had the nerve to say that we tried to hustle him for an interview.
But in terms of, well, to answer your King Tut question, ultimately, I felt like they were trying to hustle me. They were going to do an interview that I had no control over, and they were going to say, yeah, I never shot Tupac.
Thank you so much, all the avid viewers that really mess with us, because I would have never even knew about this, and he certainly wouldn't have heard it because it wasn't on my radar. I don't watch other people's podcasts, and it came to my attention, and the actual title of the podcast is TuT. Vlad speaks about TuT hustling for interviews or some nonsense like that. I might be paraphrasing, but that's what it's out there in the internet universe. And I brought it to my husband's attention, so we had to talk about it. I have a text exchange between myself, my husband, and Vlad when he first came home. Okay, because we heard that Vlad was trying to contact people that knew him to get him on his show. Now, let me prefix this because people that never heard about my husband, never heard about me, never watched our platform, might not know this. When he first came home, I convinced him to do this internet. This man had no interest in being on the internet, no interest in talking about himself or anything that surrounded him that was already out on the internet. But I convinced him to not only be on the internet, but have his own platform. I gave him my platform. And I told him, don't do people platforms. Don't do other interviews. Don't do no platforms. Build your own platform. By saying this to him and by, telling him about having his own platform, I intentionally knew that he was going to be missing out on a lot of money because people wanted to pay him to be on their platforms to do these interviews. So let's start there. If we were trying to hustle anybody, then the hustle would have got hustled. We would have took the money and we would have been on Vlad's show and the 30 other shows that wanted him on their platforms. We've never done any other platform. He has steadfastly put out content on his own platform. I've done all his interviews. He's even interviewed me. And he also puts out lives and shorts on his own platform. So now, me saying all of that already gives you what this whole thing is about, okay? This is a man minding his business, building his platform, and his wife encouraging him to get his message out, his positive message out to the world by himself, in control of his own narrative, okay? So now for this man, Vlad, to get on in the podcast and talk about, I contacted him.
And his wife or his girlfriend reached out to me.
And tried to hustle him for an interview about Tupac. That's what he said the interview was about. We had no idea. And I'm going to read the exchange on the text. We just thought he wanted to interview King Tut because that's what he does. He interviews, these guys that have these reputations. They come on his show when they first come home and he gives them an interview. We had no idea that the interview was specifically because he wanted King Tut to admit to something that he did not do. So we're going to play what Vlad said, and then we're going to respond to it. But I'm also going to read the text exchange. But before I do that, babe, do you want to speak now or you want me to do the text exchange first? How you want to do this?
I'll say something right now.
Okay.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank the people who do enjoy our content, the individuals who receive, inspiration and motivation from what we put out. I'm grateful for everyone who has stuck with us and who enjoy what we're delivering. Now, as far as this matter with Vlad, I have no idea why Vlad would even think I would try to hustle him. Of course, I'm not a hustler at all. I don't hustle. I'm a face-to-face person. Second, it was very disrespectful for him to say that was our intentions, because I've always maintained my truth when it came to the Tupac Shakur situation. Everything that he needed to know was out there. I did numerous interviews with people.
Well, I did that story in The Source in 2002 or 3.
And you said the same thing?
I did an interview with TuT for The Source in a section we had.
Right.
Where he cleared up, or at least gave his side to that, and said that he did not.
So obviously, Vlad didn't do his homework. And I really believe that he owes me and my wife an apology. Because to say you think someone was trying to hustle you and not know for a fact what was going on. Remember, Vlad, I had friends who did interviews with you. And you always ask my friends about me. You always ask people, did they know me? And you're the one who wanted me to come on your platform. You reached out to Tom, Dick, and Harry and told them that to let me know that you was interested. My phone started ringing. People started getting at me. And I told you that I would be glad to do an interview, but if I do an interview, it has to be a safe zone for me. It has to be somebody that I got love for, somebody that I trust. I'm not going to do an interview with anybody except for my wife. And I stand on that. So, we're going to allow the public to receive the text messages that were sent between us. And we're going to allow them to make a determination on who was in the right and who was in the wrong. Usually people who cast aspersions or say something about another person, they say those things because that's their intent. See, I never was trying to hustle you. You were trying to hustle me. Because you knew that I was just coming home from jail after doing almost basically 30 years. So you felt that I probably was a guy who was in a desperate situation, like most guys that do come home.
Like Terrence Gangster Williams, who was coming out of prison doing 30 years, admitting to 40 murders, he has to have a job,
Right.
Because of his probation. So at the time, when we did his first interview, and I paid him for the interview, it wasn't a huge amount, it was a fair amount. He was working at Tyson Chicken, hosing down chicken blood.
But I was fortunate enough to come home to a very, very stable environment and with a wife who had me secured from every angle. It was you who was trying to hustle me, because the only thing I could have gave you on your platform was the truth. You said that the reason why you wouldn't do it is because you don't allow anyone to do anything on your platform but yourself in order to maintain the integrity of the platform.
You know, it doesn't matter how good you think you are doing interviews. It's VladTV. I'm the one that has to actually do it. And
But wait a minute. If I'm correct, didn't he do something?
Cavario interviewed Lou Sims.
You did it already.
That's why I suggested it. I said, wait a minute, babe, because you was like, I only want you to interview. I said, wait a minute, babe. He will allow people to interview on his platform because Cavario interviewed Lou Sims. I guess Lou Sims had the same request. I'll do your platform, but it has to be with somebody I trust. So when we presented that to him, I didn't think it was out of order because I seen it done on his platform.
And you make me realize that if you wanted me on your platform for one specific reason and one specific crime, that must mean that you wanted to get me on your platform so that you could not only question me, but interrogate me and hopefully find me guilty of something that you was under the impression that I did. But look, I didn't even do it. And that's what I would have told you. I didn't do it. Because I didn't. So that's all you would have got out of me as far as that was concerned. But if you would have used my wife, you would have got so much more out of me. You see, we're on part 4 now. If she would have spoke to me on your platform, I probably would still be talking to her. But you were interested with one specific topic, one specific subject, and one specific outcome. Sending my black ass back to jail. That's what you was interested in doing. And you know what I feel, Vlad? That you're mad. You're angry. You're furious that I'm not the guy who shot Tupac Shakur. You wanted me to be the guy who robbed and shot Tupac. Yeah, I used to get the messages. You want to tap me on the back for being Mr. Black on Black crime. You love it when you got brothers up there who killed other brothers and you can sit up there and allow them to spill their guts about how they ravaged their communities.
we want to bring him to your platform to interview him. So I said, okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is hit up Terrence. So I said, hey, do you know so-and-so? He goes, yeah, he killed my homeboy, Sterling, one of the Hot Boys.
And destroyed other black people. Yeah, you're a bloodthirsty dude. And that's what satisfies your thirst and your hunger. Being able to dangle a carrot and make a person just deliver things that really debase them. But Vlad, you mess with the wrong ones this time. You owe me and my wife an apology. And if you was interested in only the Tupac Shakur incident, you should have got at us and said, I'm interested in this only. You shouldn't have said you want to interview me because I got a lot of moving parts. I did a whole lot of things. I was involved in a lot of situations. So you could have got me up there with my wife and we could have spoke on numerous things pertaining to me. But no, you wanted that specific thing that you have that active officer on duty in the studio for.
I brought in my actual NYPD security guy.
So that when somebody do trip, you're going to make sure they fall. And I cuffed, arrested, indicted, convicted. That's what you get for Vlad. Have a nice life, Vlad.
Okay. Very well said, darling. This is the text message, and it's going to be on the screen. Vlad, this is Walter King TuT Johnson's wife. We have been notified that you are interested in an interview. The offer was presented at $10,000. We would like to counter that offer. Also, he would do it only under one condition, and that is that the interview be conducted by me. Also, $15,000 would be his fee. He watched the Lou Sims interview done by Cavario and realized that he could have me conduct his interview on your platform, since you seem to be very interested. I had a podcast years ago on Blog Talk Radio called Mac Mama's World Radio. I interviewed over 267 prominent authors and celebrities. I plan to keep your format and be behind the camera also. I will ask him all the questions your viewers want answers. If this is satisfactory, then we can move forward. Have a good evening. He replies, thank you for the offer, but in order to do the interview, I would have to be the one doing it. In order to earn that amount of money back, my audience would only watch it if I am conducting the interview. I said, notice my husband said this, I've watched your interviews and I have to admit you do an excellent job. However, I have to go with chemistry and someone I feel extremely comfortable and confident with. I know that can be extremely unpredictable, and this is one of those situations that I must be able to predict what's coming my way. Thank you for the offer. It's an honor to receive an offer from a veteran like yourself. Respectfully, TuT. He replies, let me know if you change your mind. Me doing the interview is something I can't negotiate on. I replied, okay. And knowing all the other outlets, this is Vlad's reply, and knowing all the other media outlets, I don't see anyone paying a significant amount of money to have someone else do the interview. I replied, cool. He replies, allow me to look at a few more of, no, my husband replied that. Allow me to look at a few more of your episodes and I'll be able to make a determination on what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to change my price. I would need to talk to him. This is Vlad. I would need to talk to him before the interview to see what exactly he is willing to discuss. Once I do that, I can discuss the price, but I would need to do the interview. I replied, send your questions, please. He replied, I would need to do some research and then have an off-the-record conversation over the phone. It's not as simple as sending questions. I replied, fine, we can do that. He replied, cool. Let me know a date and time you want to do it. I replied, after the new year. And that was the end of the text exchange, and it'll be on the screen. So in the end of this, because we're not going to stay long on this, I felt the text exchange was professional, respectful, and forthright on our part. Like you said, had you just came out and said, listen, specifically, I would like to interview you about Tupac Shakur. And then if my husband would have said, okay, sure, and he would have said, well, did you do it? And my husband would have replied with his answer, no, I didn't. It would have been the end of it. But you were trying to hustle your way into an interview or maybe ask the questions beforehand. Like you said, you wanted to have a pre-phone conversation. And then at that point, you would have found out he didn't do it. But to say on a public platform that we tried to hustle you.
I felt like they were trying to hustle me.
Right.
They knew the whole time that they weren't going to say that they shot Tupac. That he didn't.
And he didn't.
Right. He knew the whole time that was the real story. But he was like, okay, but I can get $15,000 out of saying that. From Vlad, because Vlad probably is paying the most.
Into like thinking he did it to get $15,000 it's just not true.
And one of the things I don't like is the fact that you could have questioned me on the fact that I didn't do it. What was so wrong about that? I mean, are you only interested in the person that you believe did it? Because I think finding out the facts that help you eliminate people from the crime is also beneficial if you're fishing and doing an investigation. So, I mean, me and my wife, I actually came forward and expressed, that I didn't do it, And I bear my soul on that.
Yeah. And gave a wonderful tribute to Tupac Shakur in doing so, a history lesson. If you guys haven't seen the interview with my husband, King Tut, speaking on that quad studio incident with Tupac Shakur, R.I.P., rest his soul, please make sure y'all do check it out on our platform. Also, I want to add too, it was like a little giggling about when the guy asked him about, or when they were talking about you turning down the interview. He made it look like he turned it down, but basically you not doing his platform because you wanted to start your own.
Blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, at that point, I'm out of the picture.
Okay. All right.
Building a platform is not easy. But so they were doing their own interviews with each other. And then I come to find out a couple weeks later that he didn't even shoot Tupac.
Yes, and that's exactly what he's done. He's put out his own content, and I advise anybody that's thinking about being a content creator versus being somebody else's meal ticket, because that's what you're doing. You're going on to other people's platform and you're giving your stories away and you're getting a little upfront fee, and that's that. But see, I know the behind the scene mechanism because we are now YouTube partners. That happened in 40 days. And we see the checks and we know how this goes. So you might as well build your own platform. Have a boss mentality. Okay. If that's what you want to do, skip around and go to people's platforms and get the checks, that's cool. That's what you want to do. But I'm looking at the long term. I'm looking at the residuals for, for the rest of my life, the rest of my husband's life, and for our grandchildren and our children, because this content doesn't come down unless we take it down. And the checks and the monies and the views they never stop. So you might not get that upfront money, but you got to grind and you got to build. And that's what we chose to do, especially me, because my husband really chose not to do none of this. It's me. I actually convinced him to talk to the people, send his messages out, have his own voice, because it was so much fodder on the internet about King Tut. And I just wanted him to be here because he's home now to be able to speak for himself. And that's what he's been doing. So I invite you guys, if you've never been on the platform, to please look through all the videos. We put out over 50 videos and see who King Tut really is. Not what people on the internet, on these different podcasts, portrayed him as, or put the alleged and the incidents that they heard about, the gossip, the rumor, the skullduggery. This is who the man is. And judge him for yourself.
And understand something. We all have a past. And many of us, we do some crazy things in our youth and when we're trying to find ourselves. But when we get it right, when we get it together, we could deliver something much more, respectful to the world. And that's where I'm at today. I'm not gonna lie. I used to be a hellraiser at one point in time. And many people felt, that I was heartless and that I was a very disrespectful individual. And I was. But I want you to know where there's hope. You know what I'm saying? The possibility of change is there. Don't be afraid to be your best self. Don't be afraid to fight them demons within. And more than anything, don't let somebody else who don't know you, who don't care about you, who haven't walked in your footsteps, tell you that the only platform you have is theirs. He tried to tell me that without him, I'm not going nowhere. But I had a wife, man, who got a lot of sense. A wife who understands the game. A wife who's a seasoned veteran. And it's weird because a lot of us brothers We allow people from other cultures to tell us how to live. But guess what? It's really our woman, man, who's setting examples. Who's saying, nah, forget them. You a king. Forget them. You're a man. Forget them. You could do anything they could do, and you could do it better than them. It might take time, but you got to start in order to get there. And you got to start on your own. You got to have heart. You got to have guts. So I got heart and guts. I had it in the street, so I got it here. So I'll see y'all in the future. And yo, build with us and watch us build. Peace and love.
Bebo.